The grease-stained menu in Elena's manicured hands might as well have been a dead rat. Her face twisted into that familiar expression of disgust I'd been seeing more often lately. The same look she gave my work boots when I forgot to leave them outside her pristine condo. "Jake, seriously?" Elena whispered harshly, her voice cutting through the warm chatter of Murphy's diner. "Your grandmother's 80th birthday, and we're celebrating in this place?" I watched Grandma Rose beam from her corner booth, surrounded by 3 generations of family, her weathered hands clasped together in pure joy. The same hands that had served thousands of meals in this diner for over 50 years. The same diner where I'd spent countless afternoons doing homework, learning the value of hard work and treating people with respect. "This place is home, Elena," I said quietly, hoping she'd remember that she used to find my family's humble roots charming. Back when we first started dating 2 years ago, she'd called it authentic and real. Now it was just embarrassing to her. Elena smoothed her designer dress, a black number that probably cost more than most of our customers made in a month, and glanced around nervously. Her eyes lingered on the checkered linoleum, the vinyl booth seats patched with duct tape, the handwritten daily specials on the whiteboard behind the counter. "I'm just saying," she continued, her voice rising slightly, "there are nicer places we could have gone. That new fusion restaurant downtown or the steakhouse on 5th Street. Somewhere more appropriate." My cousin Danny looked up from his plate of meatloaf, catching Elena's tone. My Aunt Martha paused mid-sentence in her story about Grandma's younger days. Even my normally oblivious Uncle Pete seemed to sense the tension. "Elena," I said, forcing a smile, "this is where Grandma wanted to celebrate." "It's her day." "Well, maybe she should want better for herself," Elena muttered, just loud enough for half the table to hear. The words hit the table like a slap. Conversations stopped. Forks paused halfway to mouths. My mother's face went pale and I saw my father's jaw clench, the same way it did when he was trying not to lose his temper. But it was Grandma Rose's expression that broke my heart. The joy drained from her eyes, replaced by a hurt so deep it made my chest ache. This woman who had raised 4 children while running a business, who had fed half the neighborhood during tough times, who had never asked for anything but love and respect from her family. "I mean," Elena continued, oblivious to the damage she was causing, "I'm just tired of pretending that places like this are acceptable. I work with important people, Jake. I have a reputation to maintain. I can't keep showing up to family events in establishments like this." The word establishments dripped with such disdain that I felt something snap inside me. This wasn't just about the diner anymore. This was about my family, my roots, everything that made me who I was. "You're absolutely right," I said calmly, surprising everyone, including myself. Elena blinked, clearly not expecting agreement. What? "You're too good for this place," I continued, my voice steady despite the rage building in my chest. "You're too good for my family's low-class restaurant. You're too good for all of this." A smile started to creep across her face, thinking she'd won. "So you don't have to endure it anymore," I finished. The smile faltered. "What do you mean?" I stood up slowly, reaching into my jacket pocket. Everyone at the table watched as I pulled out the small velvet box I'd been carrying for 3 weeks, waiting for the perfect moment to propose. Tonight was supposed to be that moment, surrounded by family, in the place that meant everything to me. "I mean," I said, setting the ring box on the table with a soft thud, "you'll never have to worry about being embarrassed by my family again." Elena's eyes widened as she stared at the box. "Jake, what are you doing?" "I'm solving your problem," I replied. "You think you're too good for us? Fine. You're free to go find someone who meets your standards." The entire diner had gone silent now. Even the kitchen staff had stopped moving, sensing the drama unfolding in the corner booth. "You can't be serious," Elena whispered, her voice shaking. "You're breaking up with me." "Here? Now?" "I'm not breaking up with you," I said. "I'm just acknowledging what you've been telling me for months. We're not compatible. You need someone who can give you the lifestyle you deserve, and I need someone who can appreciate the people who raised me." Elena's face cycled through confusion, anger, and something that might have been panic. "Jake, you're being ridiculous." "I didn't mean—" "Yes, you did," I interrupted. "You meant every word. And you know what? That's okay. We want different things." I leaned down and kissed Grandma Rose on the forehead. "Happy birthday, Grandma. Don't let anyone tell you this place isn't perfect." As I walked toward the door, I heard Elena calling my name, her voice cracking with desperation. But I didn't turn around. I'd made my choice, and for the first time in months, it felt right. The cool night air hit my face as I stepped outside, and I realized I was shaking. Not from fear or regret, but from relief. The weight I'd been carrying, the constant pressure to be someone I wasn't, to apologize for my background, to make excuses for the people I loved, was finally gone. My phone buzzed with a text from Elena. "Jake, please come back. We need to talk." I deleted it without responding and started walking home. 3 days passed before Elena showed up at my apartment. I'd been expecting her, of course. Elena Martinez didn't handle rejection well, especially not public rejection. I'd known her long enough to understand that her pride would demand some kind of confrontation. She stood in my doorway wearing her serious conversation outfit, a crisp white blouse, black slacks, and that expression she used in business meetings when she was about to destroy someone's proposal. "We need to talk," she said, pushing past me into my living room. "Do we?" I asked, closing the door. "I thought I was pretty clear at the diner." Elena spun around to face me, her dark eyes flashing with anger. "You humiliated me, Jake. In front of your entire family. Do you have any idea how that felt?" "About as good as watching you humiliate my 80-year-old grandmother on her birthday," I replied evenly. She waved her hand dismissively. "I wasn't trying to hurt anyone. I was just being honest about our situation." "Our situation?" "Yes." She began pacing, her heels clicking against my hardwood floor. "Jake, we've been together for 2 years. We're supposed to be building a future together. But how can we do that when you're so stuck in the past?" I sat down on my couch, studying her face. "What exactly do you mean by stuck in the past?" Elena stopped pacing and fixed me with that look, the one she used when she was about to explain something she considered obvious to someone she considered slow. "Your family's diner is failing, Jake. The neighborhood is changing. Nobody wants greasy comfort food anymore. They want healthy options, Instagram-worthy presentations, craft cocktails. Your grandmother is holding on to something that should have died years ago." "The diner isn't failing," I said quietly. "It's been profitable for 50 years. "Barely profitable," Elena corrected. "And for what? So your family can pretend they're still relevant? Jake, you have a business degree. You worked at Morrison & Associates for 3 years before you quit to help your father with his garage. You had a future, and you threw it away for what? Nostalgia?" I felt that familiar tightness in my chest, the same feeling I got every time Elena brought up my wasted potential. She'd been pushing me to go back to corporate consulting for months, insisting that my mechanical skills and my family's businesses were beneath me. "I didn't throw anything away," I said. "I chose what mattered to me." "And what about what matters to me?" she demanded. "Jake, I work at Hartwell & Associates. I'm up for partner next year. Do you know what my colleagues think when I tell them my boyfriend runs a garage with his father? I don't really care what your colleagues think." "Well, I do." Elena's voice rose to near shouting. "I care because their opinions affect my career. I care because I have goals, Jake. I want to be successful. I want nice things. I want a husband who can match my ambitions, not someone who's content to spend his life under the hood of some stranger's car." The words hung in the air between us like poison gas. I could see Elena realize she'd gone too far, but it was too late to take it back. "So that's what this is really about," I said slowly. "You're embarrassed by me." "I'm not embarrassed by you," she said, but her voice lacked conviction. I just think you're capable of more. More than what? More than helping my father run the business he built from nothing? More than preserving my grandmother's legacy? More than being part of a community that actually means something? Elena's expression softened slightly, and she sat down next to me on the couch. Jake, I'm not trying to hurt you. I love you, but love isn't always enough. We need to be practical about our future. Our future, I repeated. The one where I become someone completely different, so you don't have to be ashamed of me at cocktail parties. That's not fair, isn't it? I stood up and walked to the window, looking out at the street where I'd grown up. Elena, when we first started dating, you said you loved that I was different from the other guys you'd known. You said I was grounded and authentic. What changed? She was quiet for a long moment. When she finally spoke, her voice was small. I got promoted. My world got bigger, and I realized that what I thought I wanted and what I actually need might be two different things. I turned to face her. And what do you actually need? I need a partner who can grow with me, she said. Someone who shares my ambitions. Someone who wants to build something bigger than this. She gestured around my modest apartment. And you don't think I'm that person? I think you could be, she said desperately, if you wanted to be. Jake, you're smart, you're capable, you're handsome. You could have any life you wanted. Why are you choosing to limit yourself? I walked back over to the couch and sat down facing her. Elena, I'm not limiting myself. I'm choosing the life I want. There's a difference. But is it the life we want together? The question hung between us, heavy with implications. I looked at this woman I'd thought I loved, this woman I'd been planning to propose to, and realized I didn't recognize her anymore. Or maybe I was finally seeing her clearly for the first time. No, I said quietly. I don't think it is. Elena's face crumpled. Jake, please. Don't do this. We can work through this. Can we? I asked. Because it sounds like the only way we work through this is if I become someone else entirely. She reached for my hands, but I pulled away. That's not true. I just want us to want the same things. We don't, I said simply. And we never will. Elena stared at me for a long moment, tears building in her eyes. Then her expression hardened, and I saw a glimpse of the ruthless attorney she was becoming. Fine, she said, standing up abruptly, if that's how you want it. But don't come crawling back to me when you realize what you've thrown away. She grabbed her purse and headed for the door, then paused with her hand on the knob. You know what your problem is, Jake? You're afraid. You're afraid to take risks, afraid to leave your comfort zone, afraid to be anything more than what your family expects you to be, and that's why you'll never be happy. The door slammed behind her, leaving me alone in the sudden silence. I sat there for a long time, staring at the spot where she'd been standing, wondering if she was right. Was I afraid? Was I limiting myself? Or was I just finally being honest about what actually mattered to me? My phone buzzed with a text from my best friend Marcus. Heard about what happened at the diner. You okay? I started to type back that I was fine, then deleted it. The truth was, I didn't know if I was okay. I just ended a 2-year relationship and turned down a future that a lot of people would consider ideal. But for the first time in months, I felt like I could breathe. Getting there, I finally typed back. Marcus replied immediately. Good. She never deserved you anyway. Beer tomorrow? Yeah, I wrote. I think I'm going to need it. The Rusty Anchor had been our regular spot since college. Marcus, Tommy, and I had spent countless Friday nights in the back corner booth, solving the world's problems over cheap beer and even cheaper wings. It was the kind of place where everybody knew your name and nobody judged you for your problems. But tonight felt different. Maybe it was the way Marcus kept checking his phone, or how Tommy seemed more interested in the basketball game on TV than our conversation. Or maybe it was the fact that they'd both been acting weird ever since Elena and I split up 2 weeks ago. "So," Marcus said, finally putting his phone down, "how are you holding up?" "I'm fine," I replied, taking a sip of my beer. "Better than fine, actually. I feel like I can think clearly for the first time in months." Tommy glanced over from the TV. "That's good, man. That's really good." There was something in his tone that made me look at him more closely. Tommy had been my roommate in college, the best man at my brother's wedding, the guy who'd helped me move into every apartment I'd ever had. I could read him like a book, and right now, he looked uncomfortable. "What's going on?" I asked. "Nothing's going on," Marcus said quickly. "We're just worried about you, that's all." "Worried about what?" Marcus and Tommy exchanged a look that I didn't like. It was the kind of look that said they'd been talking about me when I wasn't around. "Jake," Marcus said carefully, "we heard about what happened at your grandmother's party." "You heard Elena's version, you mean?" "She's pretty upset," Tommy added. "She says you completely blindsided her." I set down my beer and stared at my two best friends. "She's upset? She insulted my family at my grandmother's birthday party, and she's upset?" "Look," Marcus said, holding up his hands, "we're not taking sides here. We just think maybe you overreacted a little bit." "Overreacted?" I couldn't believe what I was hearing. "Tommy, you've met my grandmother. You've eaten at the diner 100 times. You know what that place means to my family." Tommy shifted uncomfortably in his seat. "Yeah, but Jake, Elena has a point. The diner is kind of outdated. And your grandmother isn't getting any younger." "What the hell is that supposed to mean?" "It means maybe it's time to think about the future instead of clinging to the past," Marcus said. "Elena's successful, she's beautiful, she's going places. Do you really want to throw that away over one argument?" I stared at them both, feeling like I was seeing strangers. "One argument?" "Marcus, she's been making comments about my family and my choices for months. This wasn't one argument. It was the final straw." "But she loves you," Tommy said. "She told Sarah she's willing to work through this if you are." "She told Sarah?" I asked. "When did she tell Sarah?" Another uncomfortable look between my friends. Sarah was Tommy's girlfriend of 3 years, a lawyer who worked at the same firm as Elena. I should have known they'd been talking. "They had lunch yesterday," Tommy admitted. "Elena's really torn up about this, Jake. She thinks you're going through some kind of quarter-life crisis." "Quarter-life crisis?" I laughed, but there was no humor in it. "I'm 35 years old, Tommy. You know what I mean. She thinks you're scared of commitment, scared of growing up. She wants to help you work through it." I felt something cold settle in my stomach. "And what do you two think?" Marcus leaned forward, his expression serious. "Honestly, I think Elena might be right. Jake, you had a good job at Morrison and Associates. You were making real money, building a career. Then you quit to work at your dad's garage. Now you're throwing away a relationship with an amazing woman because she hurt your feelings at a family dinner." "She didn't hurt my feelings," I said slowly. "She disrespected my family." "She was frustrated," Tommy said. "People say things they don't mean when they're frustrated." "Do they?" I asked. "Because it sounded to me like she meant every word." Marcus sighed. "Jake, look, we love you. You're our best friend. But sometimes friends have to tell each other hard truths. Elena is the best thing that ever happened to you. She's smart, she's driven, she's got her life together, and she loves you enough to want to help you reach your potential." "My potential." "Yeah, your potential. Jake, you're brilliant. You could be running your own consulting firm by now if you hadn't gotten sidetracked by family obligations. Elena sees that. She wants to help you get back on track." I looked around the bar, at the neon signs, the worn wooden tables, the local guys playing pool in the corner. This place had always felt like home. These guys had always felt like brothers. But now I was seeing something I'd never noticed before: judgment. So you think I should apologize to Elena and beg her to take me back, I said. We think you should consider that maybe you made a mistake, Tommy said gently. Elena's willing to forgive you for embarrassing her in public. That's pretty generous. Generous, I repeated. Jake, Marcus said, we're your friends. We want what's best for you. And what's best for you is not spending the rest of your life fixing cars and serving hash browns to truckers. The words hit me like a physical blow. I'd known these guys for 15 years. We'd been through everything together. College, first jobs, breakups, family problems. I'd thought they knew me, understood what mattered to me. I was wrong. I see, I said quietly. Do you? Tommy asked hopefully. Because Elena really wants to talk to you. She's willing to compromise. Compromise how? Well, Marcus said, she thinks maybe you could keep helping your dad part-time while you transition back into consulting. And maybe your family could consider selling the diner to someone who could update it, make it more modern. I stared at him. She wants my family to sell the diner. She wants your family to be practical about their future, Tommy corrected. Jake, your grandmother is 80 years old. How much longer can she really keep working? Wouldn't it be better to sell now while the property still has some value than to wait until it's worthless? I stood up slowly, pulling out my wallet. I need to go. Jake, come on, Marcus said. Don't be like this. We're trying to help. Are you? I asked. Because it sounds like you're trying to convince me to become someone else entirely. We're trying to convince you to grow up, Tommy said, his voice sharper now. Elena is offering you a life most guys would kill for. Don't screw it up because you're too stubborn to admit you might be wrong. I threw a 20 on the table and looked at my two best friends, my former best friends, I realized. You know what's funny? I said. Elena said almost the exact same thing. Word for word, it's like you've all been reading from the same script. I turned to leave, but Marcus grabbed my arm. Jake, don't do this. Don't throw away 15 years of friendship over a woman. I'm not throwing it away over a woman, I said, pulling free. I'm walking away from people who think so little of me that they believe I need to be fixed. We don't think you need to be fixed, Tommy protested. We think you need to reach your potential. And you think my potential is being ashamed of where I came from and who raised me. That's not what we said. It's exactly what you said. I looked at both of them one more time. The funny thing is, I thought you guys knew me. I thought you understood what mattered to me. But you don't. You see my life the same way Elena does, as something that needs to be improved. I walked toward the door, feeling their eyes on my back. Jake! Marcus called after me. You're making a mistake! I paused at the door and turned back. Maybe. But at least it's my mistake to make. The night air felt good on my face as I walked to my truck. My hands were shaking as I fumbled with the keys, not from fear but from anger. 15 years of friendship gone, just like that. My phone buzzed with a text from Tommy. Jake, please don't do this. Elena's good for you. We all see it. I deleted the message without responding and drove home through the empty streets, wondering how many other people in my life thought I needed to be saved from myself. 2 weeks later, I was under the hood of a 1987 Chevy pickup when I heard voices outside Dad's garage. Familiar voices that made my stomach tighten with dread. Just want to talk to him, Marcus was saying. Make him see reason. I don't know if that's a good idea, my father replied, his voice cautious. Jake's been pretty clear about how he feels. Mr. Murphy, with all due respect, Jake's not thinking straight right now. He's hurt, and he's angry, and he's making decisions that are going to ruin his life. I wiped my hands on a rag and walked to the garage door. Marcus and Tommy were standing in the parking lot with my father, all three of them looking uncomfortable. Behind them, I could see Elena sitting in Marcus's BMW, staring at her phone. What's going on here? I asked. Dad looked relieved to see me. These boys wanted to talk to you. I told them you were working, but But we thought this was too important to wait, Tommy finished. Jake, we need to clear the air. Do we? I looked past them to Elena, who had gotten out of the car and was walking toward us. She looked different, thinner, tired, like she hadn't been sleeping well. Hello, Jake, she said quietly. Elena. An awkward silence stretched between us. My father cleared his throat. I'll be inside if you need me, he said, squeezing my shoulder as he passed. When he was gone, Marcus stepped forward. Jake, we owe you an apology. The way we handled things at the bar was wrong. Was it? I asked. Because it sounded like you were being pretty honest about how you really feel. We were trying to help, Tommy said. Maybe we went about it the wrong way, but our hearts were in the right place. Elena moved closer, her eyes fixed on my face. Jake, I owe you an apology too. What I said at your grandmother's party was cruel and thoughtless. I was frustrated about other things, and I took it out on your family. That was wrong. I studied her face, looking for signs of sincerity. What other things were you frustrated about? She glanced at Marcus and Tommy, then back at me. Work stuff. Pressure from my boss about the partnership track. I've been stressed, and I let it affect how I treated the people I care about. So you're saying you didn't mean what you said about the diner being unacceptable? Elena hesitated just a fraction too long. I meant that I've been feeling like we want different things for our future. But I said it in the worst possible way, at the worst possible time. And now? Now I think maybe we can find a middle ground, she said. Jake, I love you. I don't want to lose you over a misunderstanding. A misunderstanding, I repeated. Marcus jumped in. That's all it was, Jake. A misunderstanding between two people who love each other but want different things. It happens to every couple. Does it? I asked. Do most couples have fundamental disagreements about whether one person's family is worth respecting? That's not what this is about, Elena said quickly. I respect your family. I just think we need to be realistic about our future together. Our future, I said, the one where I go back to consulting and my family sells the diner. Elena's eyes widened. Who told you that? I looked at Marcus and Tommy, both of whom suddenly found the ground very interesting. So it's true, I said. It's not like that, Elena protested. I just think your family deserves to retire comfortably instead of working themselves to death for a business that's barely breaking even. The diner is doing fine. Jake, be honest. How much did it make last year? After expenses, after paying your grandmother's medical bills, after maintaining that old building, how much was left? I didn't answer, because she was right. The diner was profitable, but barely. Grandma's heart medication was expensive, and the building needed constant repairs. That's what I thought, Elena said gently. Jake, I'm not trying to destroy your family's legacy. I'm trying to help them secure their future. There are developers who would pay good money for that property. Your grandmother could retire, your parents could travel, you could use your education for something more than oil changes. And what about the 40 people who eat lunch at that diner every day? What about the waitresses who've worked there for 20 years? What about the community that place serves? The community will adapt, Marcus said. That's what communities do. Jake, you can't sacrifice your future for nostalgia. It's not nostalgia, I said, my voice rising. It's about values. It's about loyalty. It's about not abandoning the people who made you who you are. Nobody's talking about abandoning anyone, Tommy said. We're talking about growth. About progress. Whose definition of progress? Elena stepped closer to me, her expression soft and pleading. Jake, I know this is hard. Change is always hard. But sometimes we have to make difficult decisions for the greater good. The greater good, I said. According to who? According to reality, she said. Jake, I make 6 figures a year. If you went back to consulting, you could too. Together, we could build something amazing. We could travel, buy a house, start a family in a place where our kids would have real opportunities. and my family's legacy just disappears. Your family's legacy is you, Elena said. It's the values they taught you, the work ethic they gave you. It's not a building or a business. Those are just things, Jake. They're not what really matters. I stared at her, at Marcus, at Tommy. 3 people who claimed to love me, who claimed to want what was best for me, but who couldn't understand the most basic thing about who I was. You're right, I said quietly. Elena's face lit up with hope. I am? Yeah. Things aren't what really matter. Values are what matter. Work ethic is what matters. Loyalty is what matters. I looked at each of them in turn. And that's why this conversation is over. Jake, Marcus started, but I held up my hand. No. I'm done listening to people tell me that everything I care about is worthless. I'm done being told that I need to be fixed, that I need to grow up, that I need to abandon the people who love me for who I am, not who they think I should become. Elena's face crumpled. Jake, please. Don't do this. We can work through this. We tried that, I said. The problem is, your idea of working through it is me becoming someone else entirely. That's not true, isn't it? Elena, answer me honestly. If I went back to you right now, would you expect me to go back to consulting? She hesitated. Eventually, yes. And would you expect my family to sell the diner? Another hesitation. I think it would be the smart thing to do. And would you expect me to cut ties with people you consider beneath us? I never said anyone was beneath us. You didn't have to say it. You showed it. At the diner, with your comments about my family, in every conversation we've had about my choices, in the fact that you brought backup to this conversation because you don't think I'm smart enough to make my own decisions. Elena looked stricken. That's not why they're here. Then why are they here? Marcus stepped forward. We're here because we care about you, Jake. Because we can see you're about to make the biggest mistake of your life. The biggest mistake of my life, I repeated. You know what I think the biggest mistake of my life was? Spending 2 years with people who think so little of me that they believe I need to be saved from myself. I turned and walked back toward the garage. Jake, Elena called after me. This isn't over. I stopped and looked back at her. Yeah, it is. You'll regret this, Tommy said. Elena's the best thing that ever happened to you. No, I said. The best thing that ever happened to me was learning the difference between people who love me for who I am and people who love me for who they think I could become. I walked into the garage and didn't look back, even when I heard Elena crying, even when I heard Marcus and Tommy trying to comfort her, even when I heard them all finally get in the car and drive away. Dad appeared at my elbow a few minutes later. You okay, son? I picked up my wrench and leaned back under the hood of the Chevy. Getting there, Dad. Getting there. 3 months had passed since the confrontation at the garage, and I'd settled into a routine that felt surprisingly peaceful. Work at the garage during the day, dinner with the family twice a week, quiet evenings at home reading or watching baseball. No drama, no pressure to be someone I wasn't, no constant criticism disguised as concern. I should have known it wouldn't last. The call came on a Thursday evening while I was grilling burgers on my apartment balcony. Unknown number, but something made me answer it. Jake? It's Sarah, Tommy's Sarah. I almost hung up. Sarah had been firmly in Elena's camp throughout the whole mess, and I had no interest in another intervention. What do you want, Sarah? I need to talk to you. It's about Elena. I don't want to hear about Elena. Jake, please. Just 5 minutes. There's something you need to know. Something in her voice made me pause. Sarah sounded upset, maybe even scared. What is it? Not over the phone. Can you meet me somewhere? Somewhere private? Against my better judgment, I agreed to meet her at Riverside Park in an hour. It was neutral territory, public enough to be safe, but private enough to talk. I found Sarah sitting on a bench overlooking the river, still wearing her work clothes, but looking disheveled in a way that was completely unlike her. Sarah was always perfectly put together, the kind of woman who never had a hair out of place. "Thanks for coming," she said, as I sat down beside her. "What's this about, Sarah?" She stared at the water for a long moment before speaking. "Elena's been lying to you. To all of us." "About what?" "About everything." Sarah turned to face me, and I could see she'd been crying. "Jake, I found out some things about Elena that I think you need to know. Things that change everything." "Sarah, I don't want to get dragged back into—" "She's been cheating on you," Sarah said quickly. "For months. Maybe longer." The words hit me like a physical blow. "What?" "With her boss. Richard Hartwell. The senior partner at her firm." Sarah's voice was shaking. "Jake, she's been using you. The whole time you two were together, she was sleeping with him to advance her career." I stared at her, trying to process what she was saying. "How do you know this?" "Because I work there too. Because I've seen them together. Because Richard's wife hired a private investigator and showed me the photos." Sarah pulled out her phone and scrolled through several pictures. Elena and a distinguished-looking man in his 50s kissing in a parking garage, entering a hotel together, leaving his office late at night, his hand on her back. "Jesus," I whispered. "It gets worse," Sarah said. "Jake, the partnership she's been chasing? It was never real. Richard's been stringing her along, promising her things he never intended to deliver. And Elena has been planning to leave you for him once she got what she wanted." "How long have you known?" Sarah looked ashamed. "I suspected for a while, but I didn't have proof until last week, and I didn't know how to tell you without destroying everything." "Everything's already destroyed," I said quietly. "Jake, there's more. The things she said about your family, about the diner, about you needing to change, those weren't her ideas. They were Richard's. He's been coaching her, telling her how to manipulate you into becoming someone who would fit into his world." I felt sick. "Why are you telling me this now?" "Because it's all falling apart," Sarah said. "Richard's wife found out about the affair. She's filing for divorce and naming Elena as co-respondent. Elena's going to lose her job, her reputation, everything. And she's been telling people that you're the reason her life is falling apart." "Me?" "She's been saying that you were controlling and possessive, that you tried to isolate her from her friends and career. She's been playing the victim, Jake, making it sound like she's better off without you, but that the breakup traumatized her." I laughed, but there was no humor in it. "Of course she is." "Tommy and Marcus believe her," Sarah said quietly. "They think you were the problem all along. They've been telling anyone who will listen that Elena dodged a bullet when you two broke up." The betrayal cut deeper than I expected. It was one thing to lose Elena. I'd already processed that loss and moved on. But to discover that she'd been lying to me for months, using me, manipulating me, and now destroying my reputation to save face, that was something else entirely. "Why are you telling me this?" I asked. "You and Elena are friends." "We're friends," Sarah corrected. "Jake, I watched her destroy you. I watched her make you doubt yourself, make you question your values, make you feel like you weren't good enough. I thought she was just ambitious, maybe a little selfish. I didn't realize she was completely sociopathic." We sat in silence for a few minutes, watching the river flow past. I felt strangely calm, like a puzzle piece had finally clicked into place. "There's something else," Sarah said. "Elena's been trying to get information about your family's finances. She asked me to help her research the property value of the diner, look into your grandmother's medical expenses, find out if your parents have any debt." "Why?" "I think she was planning to use it against you somehow. Maybe to prove that your family really did need to sell, maybe to make you feel guilty about not providing better for them. I'm not sure, but, Jake, she's been planning this for a long time." I stood up slowly, my mind racing. "Sarah, I need you to do me a favor." "What?" "I need you to set up a meeting. Elena, Tommy, Marcus, maybe a few other people. Tell them I want to apologize, that I've realized I made a mistake and I want to make things right. Sarah looked confused. Jake, you didn't make a mistake. She did. I know, I said, but they don't know that I know. And I think it's time they learned the truth about who Elena really is. What are you planning? I smiled for the first time in months. I'm planning to serve some truth with a side of justice. Think you can arrange it? Sarah smiled back. Actually, I think I'd enjoy that very much. As I walked back to my truck, I felt something I hadn't experienced in a long time: anticipation. For months, I'd been playing defense, trying to justify my choices to people who had already made up their minds about me. But now I had the truth on my side. And the truth, as they say, has a way of setting people free. The meeting was set for Friday night at the Riverside Grill, the upscale restaurant where Elena liked to be seen. Sarah had done her job perfectly, telling everyone that I'd had a change of heart and wanted to make amends. Elena, Tommy, and Marcus had all agreed to come, along with a few other mutual friends who'd taken sides during our breakup. I arrived early and chose a table in the center of the dining room, public enough that Elena couldn't make a scene, but visible enough that everyone could see what was about to happen. They walked in together, Elena looking triumphant, Tommy and Marcus flanking her like bodyguards, and 3 other friends trailing behind. Elena had dressed for victory in a red dress that probably cost more than most people's rent, her hair and makeup perfect, despite everything that was supposedly going wrong in her life. "Jake," she said, sliding into the seat across from me with a smile that didn't reach her eyes. "I'm so glad you called this meeting. I think we all need to clear the air." "I agree," I said. "I think it's time everyone knew the truth." Elena's smile faltered slightly, but she recovered quickly. "I'm glad you're ready to be honest about your behavior." "Oh, I'm ready to be honest about behavior," I replied. "The question is, are you?" Tommy leaned forward. "Jake, we're here to help you work through whatever's been going on with you. Elena's willing to forgive and forget if you are." "Forgive and forget," I repeated. "That's interesting. Elena, what exactly are you willing to forgive me for?" Elena exchanged a glance with Marcus before answering. "Jake, you've been through a lot of changes lately. I understand that you were confused, maybe feeling pressured. I'm willing to overlook the way you treated me if you're ready to get your life back on track." "My life," I said. "You mean the life where I abandon my family and become someone completely different to make you happy?" "I mean the life where you reach your potential instead of wasting it," Elena said, her voice taking on that familiar, condescending tone. "Jake, I've had time to think about us, about what went wrong. I'm willing to help you fix it." I pulled out my phone and set it on the table. "That's very generous of you, Elena, especially considering how busy you've been with Richard Hartwell." The color drained from Elena's face. Marcus and Tommy looked confused, but Elena knew exactly what I was talking about. "I don't know what you mean," she said, but her voice was shaking. "Don't you?" I opened the photo gallery on my phone and turned it toward the table. "Because these pictures suggest otherwise." Elena lunged for the phone, but I pulled it back. The photos Sarah had shared were all there: Elena and Richard kissing, entering hotels, leaving his office late at night. "Where did you get those?" Elena demanded. "From Richard's wife," I said calmly. "You remember Richard's wife, don't you? The one whose marriage you've been destroying for the past 8 months?" Tommy stared at the photos, his mouth hanging open. "Elena, what the hell is this?" "It's not what it looks like," Elena said desperately. "Jake, you're taking things out of context." "Am I?" "Because it looks like you've been cheating on me with your boss while telling me that I needed to change to be worthy of you." Marcus grabbed the phone and scrolled through the photos. "Elena, please tell me this isn't real." "It's complicated," Elena said, tears starting to form in her eyes. "You don't understand the pressure I was under at work. Richard was... he was helping me with my career." By sleeping with you? Tommy asked, his voice incredulous. It wasn't supposed to happen, Elena said. But Jake, you have to understand. Richard could offer me things you couldn't. Opportunities, connections, a future. A future, I said. The same future you were trying to convince me to want. Tell me, Elena, when exactly were you planning to leave me for Richard? Before or after you convinced my family to sell the diner? Elena's face went white. What are you talking about? I pulled out a folder Sarah had given me, printouts of Elena's research into my family's finances, property values, medical expenses. I'm talking about this. Your little investigation into my family's financial situation. Were you planning to use this information to pressure me into abandoning them? Elena stared at the papers, trapped. Jake, I was just trying to help. I thought if you understood the real financial picture, you thought you could manipulate me into becoming someone else entirely while you were screwing your boss behind my back, I interrupted. Tell me, did Richard know about me? Did he know you were stringing along your pathetic boyfriend while you climbed the corporate ladder on your back? Don't you dare, Elena hissed, her mask finally slipping. You have no idea what I've sacrificed for my career. Sacrificed? I laughed. Elena, you didn't sacrifice anything. You used people. You used me. You used Richard, probably used his wife too by pretending to be her friend. Tommy looked sick. Elena, is this true? Have you been lying to us this whole time? Elena looked around the table at the shocked faces of our friends. You don't understand. None of you understand what it's like to want something more than this. Mediocrity. Mediocrity, Marcus repeated. Is that what you think of us? I think you're all content to settle for less than you deserve, Elena said, her voice rising. Jake, you had a chance to build something real with me, and you threw it away for a greasy diner and a dead-end job. Tommy, you're a teacher who'll never make more than $40,000 a year. Marcus, you're a middle manager at a company that doesn't even know your name. None of you have any ambition. The silence that followed was deafening. I could see the exact moment when each of my former friends realized who Elena really was. So this whole time, Tommy said slowly, while you were telling us that Jake was the problem, you were the one who was lying and cheating and manipulating everyone. I was trying to build a better life, Elena said defensively. I was trying to help Jake see that he could be more than what his family expected him to be. By destroying his relationship with his family? Marcus asked. By making him ashamed of where he came from? By helping him grow up? Elena snapped. By showing him that loyalty to the past doesn't have to mean sacrificing the future. I stood up slowly, looking down at this woman I'd thought I loved. Elena, you know what I've learned from all this? What? She asked, her voice barely a whisper. I've learned that there's a difference between growing up and selling out. I've learned that there's a difference between ambition and greed. And I've learned that there's a difference between love and manipulation. I picked up my phone and the folder. I've also learned that karma has a way of catching up with people. Richard's wife is filing for divorce and naming you as co-respondent. You're going to lose your job, your reputation, and probably face a lawsuit, all for a man who was never going to leave his wife for you. Elena's face crumpled. Jake, please, don't do this. We can work through this. No, we can't, I said. Because this isn't a relationship problem, Elena. This is a character problem. And character can't be fixed. It can only be revealed. I looked around the table at Tommy, Marcus, and the others. For what it's worth, I'm sorry you got caught up in this. Elena's very good at making people believe what she wants them to believe. Tommy stood up. Jake, man, I'm sorry. We should have listened to you. Yeah, you should have, I said. But you didn't, because you thought I was the problem. You thought I needed to be fixed, just like Elena did. Marcus looked ashamed. We were wrong. Yes, you were. But here's the thing. I don't need your apology. I don't need your friendship. I don't need anything from any of you. Because I know who I am, and I know what matters to me, and I know the difference between people who love me and people who want to use me. I threw a 20 on the table. Elena, I hope Richard was worth it, because you just lost the only person who ever loved you for who you really are. As I walked toward the door, I heard Elena calling my name, heard her crying, heard Tommy and Marcus trying to process what they'd just learned. But I didn't look back. Outside, the night air felt clean and cool. I got in my truck and drove home through the quiet streets, feeling lighter than I had in years. My phone buzzed with texts, apologies from Tommy and Marcus, angry messages from Elena, questions from the other friends who'd been at dinner. I deleted them all without reading them. When I got home, I called my grandmother. "Jake," she answered on the second ring. "It's late, honey. Is everything okay?" "Everything's perfect, Grandma," I said. "I was just calling to tell you I love you." "I love you too, sweetheart. Are you sure you're okay?" "I'm better than okay," I said. "I'm exactly where I'm supposed to be." After I hung up, I sat on my couch and thought about the last few months. The pain of losing Elena, the betrayal of losing Tommy and Marcus, the confusion and self-doubt that had plagued me for so long. All of it was worth it to get to this moment of absolute clarity about who I was and what mattered to me. Elena had been right about one thing. I had been afraid. But I hadn't been afraid of success or growth or change. I'd been afraid of disappointing people who didn't deserve my loyalty. Now I wasn't afraid of anything. My phone rang one more time. Elena's number. I let it go to voicemail, then listened to the message. "Jake, please call me back. I know I made mistakes, but we can fix this. I love you. I've always loved you. Don't throw away everything we had over one mistake." I deleted the message and blocked her number. Then I went to bed, and for the first time in months, I slept peacefully. The end. Don't forget to hit like, subscribe, and turn on the bell so you don't miss the next story. Write in the comments from which city you are watching.